it's your lovely Abbie Dagrin, and welcome back to my channel, lovelies. Today I'll be continuing a series on my channel that deals with natal charts, and today I'll be continuing a series with Elizabeth II, and I'll be speaking on her personality traits, her characteristic traits based off of her chart, and I will also be speaking as to how a lot of the placements led to a lot of her success and the longevity that she had. So please stay tuned for the rest of my video. If you have not yet become a part of the Abbie Dagrin family, then this is your calling to do so. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you know when I upload videos on the daily. Also, please make sure you hit that like button because I know you guys will love this video. And last but not least, please make sure you share this video with everyone you know, whether it's your friends, your family members, your enemies, anyone in general who you think would really love this content or love this video. Now let's get right into the video. Elizabeth II was born on April 21st, 1926, so this qualifies her to be a Taurus. So with this placement, she is a fixed sign, and by having this sun, she is an earth sign as well. So with this placement, she tends to be someone who's very patient and someone who is down to earth. She tends to be someone who is very stubborn and someone who's very tenacious, but she is very reliable, she is very loyal, and she is someone who's going to make sure that loyalty is important to her. She is someone who's also going to make sure that her thoughts are deeply rooted in her thoughts and her words and her actions, so anything that she does came from that approach in regards to her sun sign, and she was able to gain the longevity she did based off of this sign. Next up is her moon in Leo, and with this placement, it's another fixed placement. So having this moon in this placement is actually something that really makes sense because a lot of people did adore her and they really love to see her. So having this Leo placement in the moon makes sense. She's the type of person who loves to entertain her family and friends and can be wild and charming and funny, and that's something that she loves to do. So in regards to her doing this with her family, she's also someone who loves to do this outside of her family as well. She's someone who's very loving, very dramatic. She's someone who's very organized, very bossy, idealistic, can be stubborn as well because it's a fixed sign. She loves to take charge. She's very inspiring, very magnetic. She hates being told what to do, but she's someone who's very egotistical and she has leadership abilities. Next up is her Mercury in Aries, and with this placement, she tends to not waste any time getting to the point. She's not caring about the consequences, so she may have been someone who is very impulsive into getting things done. She's not the type of person who loves to see things linger, and sometimes with anyone with this placement, at times they do not really look at the consequences and they love to look at the now instead of the future in regards to their thinking pattern, because Mercury has to do a lot with your thoughts and how you problem solve things. So sometimes she may have made decisions based off of impulse. She's someone who has active gestures. She has bold gestures. She's someone who has temperamental communication. Sometimes she can have hasty thinking, but she does have an independent reasoning and someone who's going to stand up for what she believes in. Next up is her Venus in Pisces, and this is actually a great placement because Pisces and Venus is exalted actually in this placement, and they tend to be loving in regard to the relationship. They do tend to be chameleon-like, so they do try to adjust to a situation. There are some people who are very compassionate, very artistic, and very creative, and very spiritual. They tend to be very charming and playful in regards to their relationships, and they're actually the most romantic out of all the zodiac signs. They're also the type of people who are in a fantasy world. They're very adaptable. They're very creative. They're the types of people who really love secrets. They love giving secrets and keeping secrets. And they do have an escapism sometimes. So this describes her relationships with people. Next up is her Mars in Aquarius. And with this placement, she tends to have had a drive from an innate desire to learn everything that she could. She has ideas and opinions that are usually inventive and original, but sometimes they are merely eccentric and offbeat. Sometimes she works hard to attain group goals, and as long as they meet her high standards. She tends to not like traditional authority figures because she thinks that her ideas are better than others and she values different things. She tends to be a rebel with a cause, and Queen Elizabeth, when she was alive, she was the type of person who went to different countries to learn a lot, even though that's part of her duty, but that's what she would do. And also, she was the traditional authority, so even though she may have not liked authority, she was able to get into a position that was respected and had a lot of authority. Next up is her Jupiter in Aquarius. And with this placement, she's the type of person who is a person that will bring good fortune through her inventive process. She is someone who has a lot of personal growth that occurs when she has freedom to do things in new interesting ways. This brings out her natural inventiveness. She's very individualistic, but she's also someone who's attracted to mass movements and emphasize social betterment. And she's also someone who devotes much time and energy to her efforts. And she's very fair-minded and objective. She is someone who is extraordinarily skillful in organizations and in administration. She was a part of an administration in regards to the royal family because it's basically a firm. So she's also someone who's great with organization skills, and that's something that she was great in regards to that position. Next up is her Saturn in Scorpio. And with this placement, she tends to be one of the most powerful people in the world when she was alive, but she can also be very secretive. Even though this is part of her placement on her natal chart, it kind of fulfilled herself in her being a part of the royal family because they are kind of the most powerful people, but also they do tend to be secretive. You see that when they're outside in public, they're not really cozy, and they're the types of people who tend to not really be out there with their emotions, or they're not some people who love to be cozied up for people. They go by traditions and they go by laws, so that's something that makes sense with this placement. She tends to not really like to release emotional energies. She's very reluctant with that, and when she was alive, you can see that she didn't really show too much emotions. Next up is her Uranus in Pisces. And with this placement, she tends to have a balanced imagination that allows her to see things differently and find a unique situation or solution to what's going on in regards to what she's seeing in front of her. She's also someone who can be a match made in heaven sometimes, which can be a good thing or a bad thing. She does not at times confine to reality, but also with this placement, she tends to be someone who will have a revolution of her own, but it deals with her on the inside. So with her personality, her character, she tries her best to be a better person for herself. And the revolution that she has is something that you will be able to see after she's able to change her life and change who she is as a person that probably is very different. Next up is her Neptune in Leo. And with this placement, she tends to inspire others with her innate charisma and infectious zest for life. She's someone who people do look up to in regards to that, because that's what a lot of people would say when they would interview them in regards to her passing away. They did say that she did have a charisma that other people may not have been able to capture, and she just had an infectious zest for life. That's something that her family says as well. She also has an entire generation that idealize behavior, that needs to be individualistic, so they tend to be themselves. They don't all want to be the same. But because she's also attractive to selflessness, she's worthy of a life goal that tends to be confused with expectations, so that's why self-expression is very valuable to her. Next up is her Pluto in Cancer. She was able to gain this placement because she was born between 1914 and 1939, and this is the silent generation. They build the perfect home and hide in it. Family ties, cuteness, nurturing, safety, and isolating nationalism, and a part of the First World War. So with this placement, like we say, the silent generation, they are the type of generation who sometimes can hide behind things. So what happens in this family stays in this family. And if you've heard a lot about the royal family, you will hear a lot of the things that they have been accused of, and some of them have been true, but she's not the type of person who would approach or confront a lot of the things that went on in her family, and that makes sense because of the type of generation she comes from. She's very highly intuitive and can read a situation, and she's also very curious. Next up is her North Node in Cancer, and when she was alive, this was the purpose that she needed to accomplish in order for her to really get the gifts and talents that she really needed. So first things first would be noticing and validating feelings, having empathy for others, being nurturing and supporting of others, building one's own foundation and security, honest disclosure of feelings and insecurities, humility, accepting others' moods without judgment, staying centered in one's own feelings, nurturing herself, connecting to her emotions and not repressing her emotions, identifying with the child part of her, not the adult, letting go of the need of control and achievement, trusting in what she feels and not be afraid of having emotions, and surrounding herself with people who make her safe. So this is what she would need to accomplish. Next up is her Chiron in Aries, and this is actually one of the hardest Chiron placements to have because this has to do with yourself. So in regards to how you see yourself, because the other placements, they usually deal with external forces that affect you, and if you're able to push them away or learn to cope with it, then it's okay. But this has to deal with you, yourself, and how you feel about yourself. So she had the wound of not believing in herself, comparing herself to others, and being self-engrossed. However, with having this placement, she would have needed to move forward with loving herself, accepting that everyone is different and she's everyone, she's different and it's okay, acknowledging her strengths and her weaknesses, and knowing that her weaknesses don't make her weak. It's just something she needs to work on, and that it's okay, and just really focus on her strength. Next up is her rising/ascendant in Capricorn, and with this placement, she used to have a very serious nature, and she did have a serious demeanor. She's very timid, shy, or sensitive as a child. She's very responsible and practical. She may tend to questioning herself sometimes, but she's always focused on her goals. She spends time managing her assets, may have had to overcome difficulties in life, can be self-destructive when insecure, needs a partner to protect them emotionally. She's very self-aware. She tends to be very ambitious, very disciplined, very humble. She can be detached, but she's very conservative. She's very practical, she's very serious, and she's someone who tends to be very traditional. And these are traits that really do describe her in a way that makes sense. Last but not least is her midheaven in Scorpio. It's a very great placement and has a lot to do with her occupation, or how she's perceived in regards to her occupation. She had the image of being an international mystery, and that's something that people were very mysterious of her. She's someone who is impassioned, she's very intuitive, very intelligent. She had a relentless ambition. She's very charmed, and she's very dangerous in regards to whether if you would get on her bad side, then people would be very scared of her and know what she was capable of. She's also someone who wants you to know how to do things and sometimes can go too far and exhaust herself. She's someone who likes the darker side of lives, and she has a desire to find the answers to life's deep mysteries, and she does the best under leadership position, and she was a leader. Thank you guys so much for watching my video today. Please make sure down below you let me know, did you get a better understanding of Queen Elizabeth and who she was as a person? Please let me know also who else you guys would want me to do a video on. And please make sure you guys let me know what's your zodiac sign. Please let me know down below. And thank you guys so much for your support. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button, that notification bell, that like button, and that share button. And if you have not yet followed me on my social media accounts, please make sure you're doing so. Make sure you follow me from my Pinterest down to my TikTok. They're all linked down below. And make sure you support my Etsy store as well as my PayPal. Everything is linked down below. I love you all. Please stay safe and healthy, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, lovelies.